America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
To approve the agenda. Second. The motion second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Agenda is approved. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the March 19th meeting and April 12th meeting? Do I have a second? All those in favor, aye. Aye. All those opposed? And it's been approved. Recognition of public, Ms. Cricket?
Thank you. We have several people, several of our students and some community members that I would like to recognize tonight. We're going to start with Alexis Gordon. Alexis participated in the flag ceremony on Maryland Day celebration on March 22nd in St. Mary's City, Maryland. As a participant in the ceremony, she was selected to present the Talbot County flag, and we congratulate her for being a part of this valuable experience and for being an excellent representative for the county and our school system. Alexis Gordon is from White Marsh. Is she here? Ask Dr. Sprinkle, and I'm not sure if she's here. If you see her come in, Dr. Sprinkle, will you make sure that we know? And then I'll make sure you get this. But that's for Alexis. The next student that we would like to recognize is Althea Clark. And Althea Clark is from Easton Middle School. She attended the first annual Governor's Leadership Forum for Women and Girls in Annapolis, March 25th. And as a result of her leadership skills and academic success, she was chosen to attend the event hosted by Governor O'Malley in the celebration of Women's History Month. This valuable experience provided an opportunity, a wonderful opportunity to be inspired by the accomplished, successful women around us, and her participation is, again, an excellent example of exceptional ability and success of our students here in Talbot County. And she is in that picture, but let's have her come up so we can really give her her award at this time. And Ms. Hopkins. Our next award, is anyone here from the White Marsh PTO? Come on up.
Hi, I'm Dave Short. I'm the treasurer for White Marsh PTO, and this is Mary Atnishi, Chief President. We wanted to recognize someone, a teenager who's been phenomenal for our PTO. As most of you know, it's really hard to find volunteers for these things. We're a fundraising organization, and just to get people to show up and to help out is really challenging. We happen to have a teenager, 18-year-old Lauren, who is a senior in high school and who has been instrumental in almost every event that we've had this year. She's been our photographer. Her and her friends blew up over 100 balloons for the Dad and Daughter Day. Oh my God. She put together over 100 of these little candy grams for Christmas for the kids. It was a fundraiser we did. Just every time we ask her to do something. Her friend Michael Cutler is our dolphin most of the time. He puts on the big hot costume and parades around the way for the kids. So they've both been amazing. They've been huge for our success, and we couldn't do it without them. So I just wanted to recognize her today.
she was a little surprised. All that good work out there, people do notice. And the next is one of our own sitting right here, Cassidy Stewart. Cassidy is our student board member, but she also does lots of other things. And this is a recognition of receiving the Violet Richardson Award from the Seroptimist International of Talbot County. Honored her for her volunteer work in the community. They applaud her awesome accomplishments and thank her for her commitment and dedication to leadership and service. And as a matter of fact, I was doing my school visits just 2 days ago, and I went down to the kindergarten classroom at Tillman, and guess who was teaching the class? Was Cassidy. And we were learning sight words, weren't we, Cassidy? So she's involved in a lot of different volunteer activities in the community, and congratulations on this award, Cassidy. Why don't you come up? Our next recognition, we have among us a Maryland principal named Outstanding Leader in Arts Education, and that is Dr. Marcia Sprankle. If Dr. Sprankle could come up. Dr. Sprankle, White Marsh Elementary School principal was awarded this arts honor and represented Talbot County through her community partnerships with parents, grandparents, and other organizations. She is able to provide high-quality fine art opportunities for students, and students leaving White Marsh have the necessary fine art skills and experience that will enable them to be global thinkers and expand their creativity into numerous areas. Congratulations, Dr. Marcia Sprankle. Is for the Rotary Club. We started a program called Career Pathway Initiative with the Rotary Club, and it's been about 3 years in the process. And what it was to begin taking a segment of students that had a lot of potential, but may not have thought that college or career was something they were thinking about. And basically, we start with a career fair their freshman year. Then they go into where they're doing a tour, an industry tour, their sophomore year. They do some job shadowing their third year. And this being the senior year, so it's the fourth year for that first group, they're actually signing up to do internships. And they're interviewing and gaining some internships. And so I just think it's awesome that we have the Easton Rotary Club and the Tidewater Rotary Club working together, hand in hand with the Talbot County Public School District to make this happen. And so first I would like for Mike and Chris to come up so we can recognize the clubs, and then we're going to let you meet our interns.
So thank you so much. Why don't you say a few words if you want? Do you want to say anything at all?
Sure.
And then we'll have you kids come up, and if Mr. Howard gets together.
Thank you very much for the recognition. It's been a thrill for me to work with the students and the staff of the school, especially counselors, and Michelle Swan, who is doing a tremendous job of finding careers for these students. It's very rewarding to see a student that doesn't necessarily think a whole lot about themselves, and in 3 years' time, convert that to someone that's proud and really presents themselves in a way that they can be hired. And we're very proud that our first group of students have gotten to that level, and some of which have recently gotten hired in our local business. So the Rotary Club, being a business organization in itself, has taken its vocational prowess and making it available to these students. So I think it's a very worthwhile initiative, and I thank Kelly for her work and the rest of the staff.
Thank you very much. And now let's
All right, we have Terrence Hubbard. We have, and then stay up here, once you're up here, Takia Hines. Tajere Banks. Rebecca Murphy. And Bobby Neal. And I would like for each of you to come up and tell everyone your area of interest, or where you're going to be doing an internship, or what you think you might be doing. I know Rebecca looked at me like, I cannot believe you're going to make me talk. So, if you don't want to do it here, just tell her.
I want to go into geriatrics, and I plan on doing an internship probably at William Hill. I have an internship at East Main Trust in the summer.
I'll also be having an internship at Eastern Main.
wish you the best. Wish you the best. We gotta get to graduation first. Turn around and y'all. They can see you in the back. Thank you so much.
We have two people who have asked after the printing of this agenda to speak to the board. First is Christy Morrell. Hi, Christy.
It's funny, you're right, going back and forth, but I just wanted to introduce a program that was started in Talbot County last year on June 15th, and it's called the Imagination Library. And we're actually an affiliate of Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, and if you're not familiar with that program, in a nutshell, in 1996, Dolly Parton wanted to give back to her community, which is a very poor rural area in the Smoky Mountains. And one of the best ways that she thought that she could do that was to get books into the hands of small children. So through her Dollywood Foundation, she picked up the tab and sent books once a month to children in her community. The program was very successful, and in 2000, other areas wanted to replicate it. And so she offered up the contracts and agreements that she had put in place to make it successful in Sevier County to any other affiliate that wanted to start an imagination library. There are over 1,600 affiliates across the world. They are in the United States, Canada, Great Britain, and as of last May, Australia. And they have mailed out over 57.5 million books to children under the age of 5 across the world. I used to be a teacher, moved to Talbot County, raised my children, and learned about this program several years ago and was doing some research on early kindergarten readiness statistics. And and realized that our county, although very wealthy, definitely could use some more early literacy programs. And so I looked around and realized if you wanted to get something started, you kind of have to do it yourself. And so a group of friends, who fortunately are still my friends after they agreed to help me do this, and I started our affiliate last year. And what we do in a nutshell is we raise money and register children in our county who are under the age of 5. And they receive these beautiful books, age appropriate, so infants receive board books. As they get older, they receive other books, Caldecott Medal books, bestsellers. And what's really great about these books is that on the inside flat are guided reading strategies for parents to enhance early literacy. And what really spoke to me and really got me to start this program was that I had read a study, which I'm sure as educators you're very familiar with, but as parents you might not be. Children from low-income households, by the time they enter kindergarten, have heard about 11 million words. Children from middle-income households have heard 55 million words. That's a huge gap. And I thought, okay, all right, I'm still reading. And then the next statistic I read really I felt like crying when I read it, because children from middle-income households, by the time they enter kindergarten, have had about 1,700 hours of one-on-one reading time. The children from low-income households have had 25. So they enter kindergarten anywhere from 12 to 18 months behind their peers. And a majority of the population mistakenly believes, that these children will catch up. And it has been proven time and time again that they don't catch up unless there is some aggressive help given. They have determined that children that aren't able to read proficiently by the end of 3rd grade, which is when you're done learning to read, by the time you enter 4th grade, you're now reading to learn, they're 4 times more likely to drop out of high school. So, in a nutshell, all of these studies that I've been reading have determined that the number of books a child has been exposed to before they enter kindergarten can determine whether or not they graduate from high school. And that was very powerful, and I thought, I can make this happen. And so, through Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, we became an affiliate. And the benefits of that, unfortunately, are not Dolly's great big wallet, but they are the contract that she has developed with Penguin Publishing. So Penguin Publishing prints and ships books like this for $2.08 a book. So for $25 a year, a child will receive 12 books mailed directly to their house. Dolly Parton gives us, so the other thing that we get from Dolly Parton is use of her database. So we are able to register the kids in our county, and then that information goes directly to Penguin Publishing, so they don't send me the books, they go straight to the children's house. It's been an exciting roller coaster. Dolly Parton's Imagination Library kind of gives you some guidance, how many children you should have enrolled, roughly speaking, for month to month, so that you can keep your budget on top of things. And I thought I did a pretty good job. We raised about $13,000 right off the bat, and I thought, this should hold us. And according to their projections, because we're not quite a year old, we should have about 220 kids enrolled. We have 737, which I say that because when I got the last bill and I realized how much money we were now accountable for, it really lit the fire. And fortunately, there are generous organizations and foundations and individuals in our community that have really stepped up to support it. Generally speaking, individuals like me don't take on a program like this for the entire county. Rotary International and United Way are national sponsors of Imagination Library. For the Lower Eastern Shore, Worcester, Wacomico, Somerset, and Dorchester, the United Way picks up the fund for Imagination Library for all those 4 counties. I'm working hard with Queen Anne's County, Caroline, and Kent County so that they can start their own Imagination Libraries, but there are Judy Centers and other organizations, there's school boards and Head Starts across the U.S. that generally do this. So I wanted to just make you aware that there is a program like this available to the children in our community. And if there's ever any support or guidance or help or just information that can be passed out, we greatly appreciate it.
And you've been working with Liz Haslip, is that right?
Oh, yes,
Yes.
I sit on the Judy Center
Right.
Steering Committee. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Mr. William Ackridge.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name, as you may know, is William Ackridge from the Maryland Eastern Shore Charter School Alliance. First of all, I want to say thank you very much for the opportunity to speak at your last meeting and requesting more information from us. We really appreciate the conversation starting and working with a group who's interested in learning more, whichever direction we may go. You know that I've been tasked with the job of exploring the possibility of hoping and trying to bring a charter school here to Talbot County. And school board and district support is paramount to that happening. So you have requested some more information. I have sent that to President Hopkins and have been communicating with her, and the rest of the board will get that in due course. So thank you very much for the back and forth so far. I hope that we can then schedule a meeting in the near future as we've asked. But for the sake of transparency and courtesy, I wanted to let you know kind of where we're going from here so that you're hearing it from me first. And school board and district support is paramount. Community support and community interest is also very important. So in this time, we are going to be reaching out to community leaders and inviting them to a community forum to discuss their interests, their issues, their problems, their concerns, to be educated. We hope that also every member here on this board will join us as well. We will send you an invitation. And I just wanted to make sure that you heard it from us first, that we're doing this work together for the betterment of all of our students out here. Congratulations to everybody here who was recognized. But there are a lot of students who aren't recognized and who may be falling behind. And I think we can work together to improve achievement for every student here in this county. So thank you for the work that you're doing. This Imagination Library sounds great. There are many issues that come before you, and I just appreciate a lot of times thankless hours that you put in, and really appreciate the opportunity to speak to you tonight. And so if you hear more grumblings or words going on in the community, we are out there, we are speaking to people. And please, I am open and ready for any conversation. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. So thank you very much, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, President Hopkins. Talbot County Public Schools aggressively seeks funding from state, federal, and other grant programs in order to support school programs and facilities. This minimizes additional requests from local funding. The Aging Schools Program provides state funds to all school systems in the state of Maryland to address the needs of their aging school buildings. These funds may be utilized for capital improvement projects in existing public school buildings and sites serving students. These funds may also be used to fund controlled access systems that allow school staff to lock facility doors and control visitor access with cameras, intercom systems, and remote buzzers. You will recall that funding of the extensive security improvements installed in schools over the summer came from the Aging Schools Program. State funds provided through the Aging Schools Program do not require matching local funds. In general, eligible projects and expenditures are for capital improvements to public school buildings and sites that, when completed, would protect the school building from deterioration, improve the safety of students and staff, and enhance the delivery of educational programs. The amount of funding requested from the state must be at least $10,000 and no more than the state allocation to Talbot County Public Schools. The building or building system improved by the project must have a minimum calculated age of 16 years at the time of the funding request, and the school's utilization rate should be at least 60%. The fiscal year 2014 Aging Schools program allocated for Talbot County Public Schools is $38,292. In addition, $7,217 was carried over from our fiscal year 2013 allocation. So the total available is now $45,509. Projects must be under contract by June 30th and reimbursement requests submitted by December 1st, 2014. Talbot County Public Schools has submitted a project to upgrade existing Johnson controls related to automatic temperature controls on the Chapel District Elementary heating and air conditioning system. Johnson Controls has started the process of discontinuing controllers and accessories currently in use in that building. These products are based on technology developed before and during the 1990s and do not take advantage of the latest advantages in direct digital control for building automated systems. In addition, the software tools and associated hardware are becoming increasingly difficult to maintain on current computer operating systems and computer platforms. And now I'm going to have Mr. Bruce Horvath come up to talk a little more about the specifics of this upgrade.
Okay, what we're looking at here is basically a classroom unit ventilator, and this particular unit is in most of our classrooms throughout our schools. And in this unit ventilator, we actually have 3 basic components. This would be the main brain that is in that individual unit. This is what we call a damper control, which controls the amount of fresh air that we bring in or when we decide to close the dampers. And this is a heating and cooling valve, and opens and closes when we need heat or cooling water. And this is all controlled by a main brain. Sally, if you'll... That is basically the main brain. And that gets all information throughout the school from thermostats, outdoor air temperatures, basically anything that will allow us to control the environment within the classroom so it's safe for the children. That is the electronic water valve that is mounted in the unit ventilator. And that brain will actually tell that to open and close electronically depending on the temperature that the thermostat sends back to it, so we can control basically everything from a computer in our office. Now, I'd like to tell you that it's foolproof, but as with most electronics, there's a lot of problems. It used to be very easy when you could just go in and turn a boiler on and off. Well, those days are over. And the technology that's in this building now was developed in the early 90s. So that's why we're looking to start to upgrade. And this is probably something that's going to continue on as our schools were renovated. And we're going to continue to, as the money comes available, to continue this upgrade. That is a wired UNT in that unit ventilator that we showed you. So you can see there's a lot of data going into that brain in that unit ventilator. That is, I don't know what that is. Oh, that's a freestat. That's basically a safety device. If our damper is stuck open and we get a blast of cold air, there's like a little thermostat in there. It's supposed to shut the fans off and allow the hot water to run through the coil so it doesn't freeze. Again, you know the issues we had with the very cold and extreme temperatures, but this is another safety piece that's on our unit ventilators. And that's all I have. If you guys have any questions for me, I'm willing to answer.
Is this the reason we had so many frozen pipes this year?
There's a lot of different reasons, other than the cold, obviously. This is one of the reasons. We've had some trouble with damper motors that weren't working properly and stuck open a little bit. We get a little bit of breeze, and it doesn't take much, and the coils are so thin. We get a little bit of that cold air on there, and it freezes them up, and we have a burst coil.
Did it work?
Yes.
Well, it certainly sounds like it's time to upgrade, but Bruce, am I seeing here on this page that the one with Johnson Controls is a sole source?
Correct.
They're the only ones that do this stuff?
No, there's probably 4 or 5 main ones that do this. Johnson Control is the one that we have in the rest of our buildings. All of our technology is geared toward Johnson Controls. And for training and retraining for our staff, nomenclature would be the same. The technology that we have now would match. We are doing this, this upgrade is going to be phased because of the amount of money. So we are going to have 2 systems running at the same time originally. And then as the unit ventilators need to be replaced, we'll be replacing them one at a time. So all of the main components will be monitored with the new system. It's just going to be the unit ventilators, and as they need repair or replacement, we'll be changing them out. So it has to talk, Johnson Control has to talk to each other. We couldn't put another system in there, it wouldn't, electronically it wouldn't talk to each other.
And you've been happy with Johnson Controls? Was their prices reasonable?
For the most part, yes. They're all the same. It's a proprietary item. Well,
So you're pretty much going with them because it would be consistency,
yeah, it's
and there wouldn't be any extra training involved.
correct. And
Right,
then,
a different product.
yeah, to change it out, we would have to change the entire system at one time. We just don't have the funds to do that.
Right.
Nor do we really want to, because all of our other buildings are in the same operating system. We actually have 2 systems now. One is the newer one, St. Michael's and Tillman, because they were renovated in the last 5 or 6 years, have the new operating system. Chapel, White Marsh, Easton High have the old operating system. And they need to talk to each other. They need to be able to communicate.
And our people are already trained.
Correct.
Thank you.
Well,
Bruce Rubio?
The designees of the Interagency Committee on School Construction have reviewed and approved this fiscal year 2014 Aging Schools program that we've submitted. It is my recommendation that the board approve this project and its funding by the Aging Schools program.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Have a second? Second. We moved and second to approve the project for the Asian school funds. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion's passed.
Mrs. Seacrest, school hours 2014-2015.
Yes, thank you. Many factors are taken into consideration when establishing the school day start and end time. These include safety, transportation options, staffing, and parent feedback, to name a few. 2 factors have prompted an evaluation of the current school start and end times: transportation costs and requests from elementary school principals. We have 9 buses currently that have a layover after their high school, middle school run. The time varies from 15 to 40 minutes. Over the course of 180 days, the cost for that time and fuel is significant. Several counties throughout the state utilize staggered school start times in order to maximize the efficiency of buses. Most of these situations occur in regard to Easton Elementary School. These bus routes are not as long, nor require as much time to complete, because the density of student population in the Easton area is much higher than the other elementary school areas. You will notice in your draft proposal, in your packet and on the screen, that the proposed change in time for Easton Elementary starts their school day 35 minutes earlier than they do this year. and they start a little earlier than the proposed start time for Chapel District and White Marsh Elementary. Elementary principals have also expressed an interest in earlier school start times. When schools dismiss near 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it is nearly dark when students are dropped off at their homes at certain times of the year. In addition, if a parent is not home to accept the student, administrators may be dealing with this issue well after 5 o'clock once the student is returned to the school. So some of the benefits that we see from these proposed changes include cost savings for transportation, student safety with more daylight hours, not only for students to see when they're being dropped off, but also buses see the roads much better during daylight. Potentially increased time for tutoring students. Student athletes miss fewer classes at the high school level. There's potential that parents may experience less need for morning daycare if it's a little earlier, and that enables the parent to drop the student off and still get to work. Potentially more time in the evening for homework and family, and more time for after-school jobs. Negatives that we might experience is a slight decrease in instructional time at just a few of the schools, 5 to 10 minutes. This is a draft proposal and may need to be adjusted a little. Transportation, our department and staff continue to utilize TransFinder, our routing software, to evaluate the optimum times and routing of buses. And we have not completed using that software to ensure that these are the best times. Input from parents will also be requested, and I will return at the May board meeting with a final recommendation. But I would be glad to answer any of your questions at this time. Again, it is a draft proposal. You'll note that it's not dramatic changes from this year's times. And we do recognize in everyone's busy daily lives that even 10 minutes can make a significant difference. But we want to look at all of these factors and see if the cost savings is significant, and improvements at the elementary level for students is as well.
This also ensures us above the Maryland law requirements.
Correct. It exceeds the Maryland requirements.
This will be posted on the website for comment?
Sir, I know that, yeah, we have it up there for the meeting. And what we've asked is for the principals to be sharing this, to get feedback. You know, like I said, it's slight changes, but we decided we'd bring it tonight because I think it's good to get it out there and give the parents a month to take a look at it and see how it affects. But we really are trying to be more efficient with our transportation, and we really believe that that with Gail working with Transportation and TransFinder, that we'll be able to come back to you in May. And we, like we said, we might tweak it a little bit, but it does make sense. In looking at how we can become more efficient as a school district, this is one way.
So each student that rides a bus will be provided with this to take home for the parent to preview, or how are they going to get the information other than on the website?
I know Mrs. Griffith has asked the principals to share with PTOs. We certainly could send the information home via backpack.
I've asked them to do that. I can be clearer. I just I didn't get real specific.
They could put it in the child's homework
Sure.
or whatever, the folder that the parents check every night anyway.
Right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions for Gail? Okay, thank you. Parkfield test update, Dr. Easton.
is also on the screen, is our schedule of Maryland State assessments, park field tests, high school assessments. And so I want to just point out a few things to you on this list. Between March 3rd and March 14th, we administered the MSAs to students in grades 3 through 8 in math and reading. Then at the end of March, we administered the performance-based assessments in PARC. Then we had Science MSA at the beginning of April and the Senior Administration of High School Assessments also in the beginning of April. We have coming up end-of-year PARC assessments for field testing, as well as the May administrations of the high school assessments. I want to talk a little bit about who participated in the field test. We administered the field test in 2 formats. One was paper pencil, and the other was on the computer. Couple of third grades at Easton Elementary participated in the performance-based PARC in March. They will also be participating in the end-of-year English Language Arts. White Marsh 3rd grade, Easton Middle School 6th grade did math in 2 sections, and 7th grade English Language Arts 2 sections. And also paper pencil was Algebra 2, 2 sections at Easton High School. A little bit ironic that one of our laptop schools was chosen randomly for paper pencil, but be that as it may. And they are listed up there in a different color because they are only doing the March testing. They are not part of the end-of-year testing. Computer testing was done with a 3rd grade in English Language Arts at Chapel, 6th grade English Language Arts at St. Michael's Elementary, 6th grade English Language Arts at Tillman, and the 7th grade group up there that is, I believe I used orange or red in that, is 2 sections of math. They will only be doing the end-of-year assessment for PARC, and then our Algebra 2 sections up there as well. Most of that I just shared with you. We did take the online assessments using both laptops and also using our iPads, and found that the iPads worked well as technology. We did learn some lessons, though, in this, and one is that we were having internet issues in the Bay 100 area, so we are working to improve the internet and connectivity down in the Bay 100 area so that our end-of-year assessments will go more smoothly than our performance-based ones did in March. Performance-based assessments included drag-and-drop items as well as opportunities for our students to rate. And what we did learn from that is that we need to encourage and provide more opportunities for our students to rate for extended periods of time and in greater detail than they have been accustomed to doing in the past. We have also learned that our students need more work with Equation Editor, which is an online tool that students use when they have to enter equations into the computer. It's pretty specific in the way you enter that information, and our students need more practice with that. And then those students who are doing end-of-year assessment, all of those items will be machine scored quickly. So performance-based items were the writing items, the ones that may take more time for scoring, and the end-of-year ones will all be selected response or drag-and-drop items that can be scored quickly. The one thing that they have talked about field testing is the use of artificial intelligence to do some scoring of writing. So if writing shows up on end-of-year assessments, it will be using an artificial intelligence to score the writing, and we'll see how it goes. I'm glad it's field test. I wanted to take the opportunity to talk for just a minute about the shift that will be occurring for our students at the high school level, from taking high school assessments to taking park assessments. You'll notice that in the header, I have included up there that this chart is for students entering 9th grade in the school year 2014-15. So next year's 9th graders and beyond. This year's 9th graders are in a little bit more of a mix between two tests, and we're working with school counselors to help them understand what the rules are for this particular year. But next year, it's pretty clean in what's happening for students entering 9th grade and after. You'll see 3 rows in my table. The top row called assessments. These are the assessments that will be administered to students, and you can see where the asterisk is. Those are the ones that will determine, the scores on those are what will be used to determine a student's college and career readiness. So as 9th graders, depending on the course they're in, students will be taking Park Algebra 1, Park Geometry, Park Algebra 2, Park English 9, HSA Biology, and HSA Government. So we're moving away from the HSA Algebra and English tests. They're being replaced with Park assessments and more of them. But the HSA is still in place for both biology and government. You will also see another row there that is the assessment graduation requirements. This is different from the row above it because while all of those tests will be administered, not all of those are currently a part of what our students will need to take in order to meet the assessment graduation requirement. So you remember that with HSA we have a combined score. They either need to pass the 4 tests outright or use a combined score option. That is, these are the tests that students will be required to take and pass or use a combined score to pass under our new COMAR regulations. And then you can see in the bottom row, there will still be a bridge validation program, and it will be geared not only for the current high school assessments in biology and government, but the bridge projects will also be constructed so that students can demonstrate their proficiency on the park assessments required for graduation. So it is not for all park assessments, only those assessments that are in that middle row, they are the ones that will have bridge projects tied to them as well. Happy to answer any questions about that chart. There is no test on this, so but it is a bit of a sea to wade through.
There's a lot of tests here.
There are a lot of tests, yes.
For the middle school, they took both park and MSAs, but field testing, does that mean that test didn't count?
Correct.
So
They did not take a whole test either. They tested items, not necessarily a whole test. So they did still have to take MSA. But after this field test year, if, let's say, you're an algebra student in middle school, you will take the Park Algebra test. You will not have to take the MSA Math 8 test in addition. And that's different because our middle school students up till now have had to take both the MSA Math 8 and the Algebra HSA. So we're actually going to make things a little better for them eventually, starting next year.
And then these ones in high school, looks like you're doing park or HSA.
Well, you're doing a combination of both.
Right, right.
Yes.
But they're not taking duplicate testing.
No, they are not. Yeah. So the other sheet that I believe I included in your packet, yes. are the high school graduation assessment requirements. That was a 2-page handout that MSDE put out. I didn't put it up here, did I? No. But they are available on the website where we have our board information for this meeting. And so these are some of the scenarios that are tricky for our middle school students in terms of what if I pass the class, I don't pass the test, which test do I take? What if I don't pass the class? Do I take the HSA algebra class again, or am I in Park Algebra? This is trying to answer all of those scenarios. Bottom line is that typically if you start with a test, you get to hang with that test. They're not going to switch you and change the requirement midstream. So if you took the HSA Algebra 1, they're going to count that test toward meeting whatever requirements it needs to meet, even if Park Algebra 1 comes into play later on. So they're trying to make this as fair as possible to our students. It's just going to be a bit of a head scratch for all of us as we try to make sure our kids are in the right stream, taking all of the tests they need to take.
Any questions for Pam? I mean, for Pam, I'm sorry.
That's right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
Unfinished business, Mrs. Gunton. Self-reporting charge /arrest/conviction policy 7.8.
Thank you, President Hopkins. We're asking for approval to go on to third reader for our self-reporting policy, which, as you probably remember in the past, has basically been a procedure, and now we're making it a policy that any employee must report any criminal charge, arrest, or conviction if that were to occur.
Any questions, Mrs. Gunton? Third reader. Next one is student attendance policy 10.2.
All right, if I could lump those together, 10.2, 10.5, and 10.11, they simply include the new Kumar law that compulsory age for school attendance is going to be 17 as of July 1st, 2015, and as of July 1st, 2017, it will extend to age 18. And all three of those policies include that age range, so we're just changing it to reflect the new law. So we would ask for third reader on all three of those.
Any questions, Mrs. Gunton? Third reader.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. We request the legislature surveys, Mrs. Gunton.
Just included the official letter that we did receive saying that we did have our 4 days that we requested to be waived were approved. And so the calendar that I shared with you at the last board meeting, I don't know if you have it up there or not, but it does show that what we're doing is we're making up 3 of the days, as you know, during this school year, which will be tomorrow will be one of them, and it will be an early dismissal for those that will need to go. And we will also be coming back on Tuesday, which was a full day, which was previously part of our spring break. And then May 2nd was a professional day, and that will become a school day. So that's 3 days. And then we will be making up 5 days, an additional week at the end. So June 11th was the last day, and now it is June 18th. And then we had 4 days waived. So for the most part, what we presented at the meeting last month is now official and approved, and you already voted on it, so we really don't need a vote. I just wanted to include the letter for documentation purposes, and thank everyone for their support and understanding during this very interesting winter.
Any questions for Bob? Okay, the next item is superintendent search update, and that is me. The board held a publicly announced closed session this past Saturday, April 12th, for the purpose of interviewing candidates for the Talbot County Public Schools Superintendent position. 3 representatives from the Maryland Association of Boards of Education, known as MABE, whom we hired to conduct the search, were present to facilitate the process. The board interviewed 5 candidates and chose 3 candidates as the finalists. These finalists, in alphabetical order, are Dr. Daniel Curry, the superintendent of the Lake Forest School District in Belton, Delaware; our own Mrs. Kelly Griffith, our current interim superintendent, and Dr. Deborah Monk, the consulting principal for the Montgomery County School District in Maryland. Henley Gale will give you copies of the bios and headshots and a copy of this update as well. I'm going to give you a brief outline of how the search process has evolved and where we go from here. 2 months ago, the MAID representatives asked each board member to nominate community members to participate in the focus group interviews. The purpose of the focus group sessions is to assure appropriate ethnic, countywide, and gender representation, and to have meaningful community participation in the selection of the final candidate. The group includes teachers, support staff, principals, central office staff, business representatives, parents, and community members. In addition, there will be time allotted during those 3 days of interviews for the elected officials, the media, and select students from high schools to meet the finalists. The orientation for the focus group participants will be held Thursday, April 24th at 6 p.m. in the Easton High School cafeteria and will be conducted by the representatives from MAID. During the orientation, the participants will have an opportunity to ask questions about the search process, review what is expected during each interview session, and generate a list of 5 to 7 questions they would like to ask each candidate. The following week, the first candidate will be interviewed on Tuesday, April 29th. The second candidate will be interviewed on Wednesday, April 30th, and the third candidate will be interviewed on Thursday, May 1st. These interviews will take place at the Board of Ed office on Magnolia Street. Each focus group will have approximately 45 minutes to meet with the candidate, followed by a 25 to 30-minute debriefing session with the MAID consultants, again for feedback and thoughts on the candidate. A summary of the feedback from the focus groups will be provided to the board. Hopefully we will have a more detailed schedule of the interview times for each of the groups by the beginning of next week. The board will then announce its final decision the week of May 5th. To end, I would first like to thank the board for the thought and consideration that went to the choices of their focus group participants to make sure that we did have a proper cross-section of the community. Secondly, I would like to thank the Talbot County Public School staff who helped identify the central office staff, principals, support staff, teachers, and students who will be participating in the focus group interviews. And last, I would like to express great thanks and appreciation to all the focus group participants who have committed their time and efforts to the orientation and the 3 days of interviews. I hope that all the participants will find this a very rewarding experience. It's certainly been an interesting one for us. So that's the update. Next is personnel report. Dr. Easton.
I'm seeking a motion to approve the personnel report as discussed in closed session.
Do I have a motion to approve? Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Personnel report's approved.
Thank you.
Monthly budget update, Mr. Connolly.
As Mrs. Griffin had said earlier, this has been a very interesting winter, and as I plan and project utilities, all of a sudden it's nice and warm, and we have a freeze coming. So, we're working very hard. We're looking at all accounts. Bruce and I, Bruce Harvick and I are working very closely together to make sure that we stay within the budget within each of those categories: operation plan, maintenance plans, transportation. I do not foresee us going over the budget in any of those categories because we're working so closely together to make sure we stay within those categories. Revenues are tracking as projected. One thing I did also want to tell you is it seems like we've started an audit season again, where we've just been notified that the Maryland State Retirement is going to spend a few weeks with us looking at doing some retirements on it. We just finished an MA in medical assistance compliance review, which we passed with no questions or anything like that. Everything was like it's supposed to be. So with that, if anybody has any questions or anything, we're good to go.
Any questions for Charlie? Thank you. Okay. Superintendent's report. Mrs. Griffith.
Okay, just a few items. One is the March attendance results. Our attendance is 94.98, which is up from last year. I think it's because when we do have school, all the parents want them to go. It's been an interesting year. But we really do have great attendance, just compared to a lot of other school districts. We have great attendance. We've really done a nice job with that. Chesapeake Bay Trust grant, we did receive a grant that supports our 5th grade experience at Echo Hill. Doesn't pay for all of it, but it is a small portion of it, and we do appreciate the Chesapeake Bay Trust grant. and we have a thank you card in there. And also, I will be one of the panelists at the Financial Literacy Summit. I was asked on Tuesday, April 22nd. So I'm looking forward to that. I believe it says 10, well, I'm on the panel from 10:15 to 11, but I believe it begins at 8:30. So it's 8:30 to noon. 8:30 to noon. And I think they're up to at least 100 people attending. So it should be interesting. Our financial literacy program in our school district is extreme. It's stellar, and a lot of people want to know about it. And the last thing, or two more things. One is we keep finding out about these Carson Scholars that our students have applied for, and we keep adding to the list. But I did want you to see that we do have 3 there. And we will next month be recognizing our Teacher of the Year, but it is Mrs. Bridget Whited will be our Teacher of the Year representing Talbot County. But we had a wonderful event 2 weeks ago where we recognized all of our Teachers of the Year from each of our schools. And I received a lot of emails and a lot of comments from our staff saying that they really did appreciate that evening. They enjoyed spending the time with their colleagues and their families and just really getting to see what's happening around our own county and feeling really good about recognizing their schools. So I think that was a worthwhile event that hopefully we'll continue to do annually. But with that, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Henley, that was great coverage you did of that. So thank you very much. Okay, board member remarks. Greg, you want to go first?
All right, thank you. I'd like to thank Mr. Ackridge for coming in tonight and speaking to us. I look forward to seeing the information that you have provided President Hawkins. I haven't seen it yet. Thanks to Christy Morrell for coming in, for the work that you're doing. You're doing our work for us. Thank you. I hope we can help you. And there's unicycles. I've tried to do that before for about 5 minutes. It didn't work out well. Kelly, Mr. Redmond said something tonight back to where we were before the district meeting. And I know that you're not prepared to answer any questions about that, but is there something you can say off the top of your head, or would you like to present something maybe at a future meeting, what the projections are as far as kids coming into the school and where we might have to go as far as...
We have those. Those are all in our facility maintenance, our facility master plan, and you have a copy of that, but we can go back over that again. But that is one of the reasons why we're renovating East Elementary School, is because we know at this point we already come all the way up to across the street from Easton Elementary School. And across the street from Easton Elementary School, they go to St. Michael's School. So we really can't come any further at this point. So I do think, if you do look at the projections, though, Mr. Crinity, it's not, according to the projections, it doesn't look like it's really going to be any dramatic increase over the next 5 to 10 years. It looks like it pretty much levels off to about 160 to 180 kids per class, which is where we've pretty much been. But then again, they change from time to time, but we do have that as a part of our plan, so we'll revisit that again. Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Cassidy?
I want to thank you all for such a cool and then I want to say congratulations to Miss
Coach?
A couple items. I'd like to congratulate all the award winners this evening, and thanks to Mr. Redmond and the Easton Elementary School for their performance, and thanks to all the staff for their fine reports this evening.
Sandy?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Dr. Frank for her dedication to the arts. Something really near my heart. I'd like to congratulate especially all the students that were recognized tonight, and especially Cassidy and Lauren. And I'd like to give a shout out to the Dave Underbearers for our parents and the students that are involved in Destination Imagination. Because we had, I think we had 11 students go to state. and 3 teams have qualified to compete at the University of Tennessee for Women's World Day. So wish them a lot of luck, and if you need a car wash, if you see some kids out there wanting a car wash, please pull over and give them a little change. Good luck.
Jesse?
I'd like to congratulate all the young folks for their award and their achievements this evening. I do have a question, kind of follow on Greg's last question. Are we maintaining the student-to-teacher ratio that's consistent across the
Yes. Yes, and we will even be more so when we put our staffing plan into place next year, where I moved some secondary positions to the elementary level. Not adding positions, moving positions, and that will even help it even more.
Okay, thank you everyone for coming out.
I want to also thank everyone for coming out this evening, and I want to thank Mr. Redmond and the students for their presentation tonight. And I also want to reiterate that they are collecting items for the veterans, so if you have something that you would like to drop off, please drop it off at either the Dobson Building or the Mosley Building, because our veterans need to know that we continue to support them, and we want to thank them for their service. I also want to thank Ms. Morrell for speaking to us this evening about Imagination Library. That's what one person's dream can do for a community. So as a community, we need to get behind her and help her as much as we possibly can, because she is correct. Literacy needs to start at an early age, and there are some children that do not have access to books, and we all know that. So if we can help her out, we need